Hey Scorpios, and welcome to your 2020 year ahead forecast. This is Sky here to speak some about the astrological transits, channeled insights, and tarot messages for you coming in this awesome decade shift of 2020. I hope that you're feeling great because this year can be so great for you and so synergistic, harmonious. Things can come in, go out easily. It's kind of an interesting eclipse year. There are going to be some interesting eclipses that will be affecting you vibrantly and harmoniously. Most of the angles to you are very nice and very wonderful. You are going to be really dialed in to differences and embracing changes that have needed to be made for a long time, embracing a forward type of cardinal motion that just comes into your life so easily. The energy really supports you great. You know, it's going to be kind of a load off this year. There's going to be an exhale, there's going to be a breath, and even though there is a lot of pressure with all the Capricorn energy and all the Earth energy, it's heavy for a lot of people. It's not quite as electrifying or domineering or pressurized as the past 7 years for you have been, because the past 7 years for Scorpio have been years of conjunctions from heavy outer planets. You know, Saturn and Jupiter both went over your sign and of course retrograded in your sign. We had every single inner planet up to Saturn retrograde in your sign. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn all had retrograde cycles in Scorpio over the last 7 years, and this is the first year, Scorpio, where you don't have a retrograde cycle in your sign. And I'm actually fibbing a little bit there. There will be a Mercury, but it's just going to be in the very beginning of Scorpio. So it's really going to only affect the cusp, Libra, Scorpio cusp people. And it's just barely going to, Mercury will just barely dip into Scorpio and then retrograde back into Libra this year. But for the most part, all of the heavy retrograde conjunct Scorpio energy has passed. So yes, even though there is a pressure and a need that you have to look at with the Capricorn energy, it's not nearly as direct and it's not nearly as confrontational type of energy. So there are a lot of themes coming up for you this year nonetheless, because the first year that you walk out of such an intense cycle means a lot, and it speaks a lot to the future. So yeah, you are embracing a new cycle here. You are embracing a new sense of Plutonian energy, as well as Pluto energy is moving further and further into Capricorn. It's getting into its last few chapters of Capricorn energy, which Pluto is your ruling sign, or sorry, your ruling planet. And you operate very much like the sign that Pluto is in. So you kind of operate like a Capricorn in a way over the last about 10 years. So you are familiar with Capricorn energy. And Scorpio and Capricorn energy, I mean, just to speak a little bit about that, because we have Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all in Capricorn for the entire year of 2020. They are harmonious energies. They understand each other, they are compatible, but they can be a lot of doom and gloom too at the same time. So one of the things that you do have to watch out for in the year of 2020 is being too doom and gloom, too solemn, too overcast, too pessimistic even. You have to really temper your harshness, very much so, because it's needed to be like pragmatic. You definitely have to exercise some type of pragmatism in 2020, but you could be very discouraging to other people if you weren't careful, or if you don't also get lighthearted here and there. Although there is a beauty in the gloom that does come about, as I feel like your energy to sort of be overcast this year is sort of rainy, it's sort of cloudy, it's sort of misty, but that's really beautiful too. It's not depressive, like some people might think of that with a depressive idea. But to me, the way that I sense it is it's very calming, it's very tranquil. There is like a tranquility that can enter into your life this year that is sort of just not been seen in a long time, because you've had so much pressure, so much conjunction, so much harsh angle toward you, that your nervous system and, you know, your adrenal system, it's all been on the top notch. And this is really the first year where that gets the opportunity to start functioning more healthily. So yeah, 2020 is a major health year for you, definitely, because this is the first year where there's not really going to be the same excuse of, oh my gosh, I've got this, really difficult relationship, or I've got this really difficult, ambition that I've been working with, and it's sapping everything from me. That's not really going to be the case this year. So you might even see yourself in the beginning of 2020 trying to jump back in to a cycle of just extreme stress or extreme volatility, and you'll want to pull yourself out of that really quickly. It doesn't mean that you can't pursue, something great. It doesn't mean you can't pursue whatever, because this is an incredible year to tap into a different kind of ambition, to tap into a different kind of desire spectrum for Scorpio. But it can't be something that depletes you. It can't be something that completely depletes your mental health, your physical health, your stamina, your vitality. It has to give back to it. Okay. So you are going to definitely early on in 2020 be seeing so clearly that the way that you pursue goals, the way that you motivate, the way that you get your energy and tap into source energy, that has to become something more tranquil, peaceful, and healing for you, more unquestionably grounding and supportive for you. And what does that mean? That means, of course, getting the proper rest, feeding yourself properly, taking in the right types of nutrients, and also with relationships, being aware of the people that are maybe sapping you emotionally, sort of emotional vampires, and not holding a lot of space for that. Basically, there's a lot of discernment and discretion and structure, and it's easy, it's clear too. It's like because that's coming from the Capricorn energy. This is all sort of Saturn talk that we have going on, which you should be very familiar with by now. Again, Pluto is in Capricorn, so your ruling planet is in Capricorn in a Saturn sign. You also had Saturn in your sign from I believe it was 2013 to 2015, and so you should be well familiar with Saturn energy by now, and you should actually be an expert in a way of working with this type of structured, discerning, contemplative energy of Saturn. It should be so second nature, and you should really be able to exercise those capabilities to keep the upward trend moving in your life. Although I will say you'll see towards the end of 2019 and very early 2020, a lot of similar situations maybe to when Saturn was in your sign, like in 2013, 14, and 15. You'll see previous narratives maybe come back in a little bit, and you'll see a test or some sort of trial, and it's sort of like the universe seeing if you're able to come at these situations with maturity and growth, because growth and maturity is a collective theme for all the signs this year with all the Capricorn Saturn energy. And we have a lot of just mature energy this year. Neptune and Pisces, is very mature energy as well. So there's a maturation process that everyone's going through, and you're kind of at the forefront of that. You and Capricorn and Pisces energy are really frontlining this new collective idea of what maturity is and what security, solidity, and stability is. And I think that one of the only difficulties that can arise in 2020 for Scorpio is people just thinking you've got it too much together. So you might not feel super prioritized sometimes, or you might not feel like things are being handed to you, or like people are making a lot of effort just for you, because people are going to really see you as having things really together, of having a lot of stability, of having a lot of just maturity. So it's almost like, why would I support that? Why would that need my help? They're so well off. They've got so much time, money, energy. They've got so much success. They don't need my help. They don't need anything free. So for that reason, the energy can also be a very expensive one in 2020 for Scorpio. So yeah, finances have to be very much in order. Savings have to be, rising. Debts need to be lower, so that you can afford the energy that comes in. Because I would say for Scorpio and for Capricorn, probably the two most expensive signs of the zodiac right now when it comes to living and it comes to accomplishing what you need to do. There are a lot of expenses, I will say that. But through accepting that and through targeting that, you can actually see that you spend less, or you can see that you save more just with that understanding. Because if we're not really accepting that, or if it's the truth and we're just kind of going about things like normal, maybe that kind of contributes to it being the truth. It kind of contributes to that expensive lifestyle, even if it doesn't mean you're living lavishly or luxuriously without that being warranted. But I think that Scorpios really do have to pay attention to how they're spending. And that's not just money either. That's time and energy. As I always say on my channel, time, money, and energy are the same exact energy line. If you don't have a lot of money, it's probably likely you don't have a lot of time to spend either. Or if you don't have a lot of energy, it's probably likely that the money is feeling lacking as well. They all really work out together. And the more that you start to save, the more money that you make or save, the more time you tend to get. It all tends to work in a decent synergy. There are some very few people with like a strong like Uranus, like maybe placed in the sixth house or something, where it defies this structure just a little bit. But everyone will feel this to a degree in 2020. Really knowing your limitations as a Scorpio is important as well in 2020. You want to sort of have your pursuits and your goals tied up neatly. You want to sort of make them beautiful as well, like making goals really beautiful, making pursuits really beautiful, making prospects be something extremely rewarding. These are all things that can highlight your 2020 and make this really awesome. But yeah, it can feel stressful if you don't really know what you're after, or if you don't really know what your point B is. The Capricorn energy over the next few years is actually so awesome for those people who know what they're going for, who sort of have a concise plan, who have an understanding of what they're after. So then they can just really fill in the gaps. It is like a filling in energy. It's not an establishing energy. It's not like, okay, I've figured out what I want to do. I've figured out how I want to do it. It's mainly about knowing those things already, and then this really fills it in and makes it happen. So between maybe January and March of 2020, it's really good for Scorpios to establish or have established by then where they're going and what the current chapter is about. It's like having an outline for the chapter, and then you're going in and you're filling it in, and you're making all of the nuances happen now. So yeah, and that's a really beautiful to have that opportunity, I think. You know, it's such a relief, I think, to just be working on nuances, or just to be filling in gaps or doing the work, and not have to be really spending so much creative energy on, you know, what is the template? What is the structure? What is the goal here? And for some Scorpios, there can be a lot of sudden changes this year too. It's going to be different for different Scorpios though. So for Scorpios who have their sun in Scorpio like 15 degrees or less, so born about like November 8th-ish or before, so like October 24th to November 8th, these Scorpios can really experience a sudden change in the year of 2020, because again, that Uranus opposition energy is coming in. So a sudden change in desire, a sudden change in living situation, a sudden inspiration could come in, or a sudden innovative ability could come in. You might suddenly have a new ability that you've never really had before, like suddenly being able to play musical instruments, or suddenly being able to speak in other languages just by being around them here like shortly. So it's in those Scorpios who are earlier in degree have an interesting year of basically change and shift being really solidified. So being able to get into careers maybe where it deals with changes, or it deals with shifting, or like one goal is not, set in place. Like very very fluid and abstract types of careers could come in too, and just basically more energy. Like Uranus opposition for those Scorpios will give a lot more energy and a lot more vitality, a lot more strength. It's like youthful. It feels like you're younger than you are. It feels like you have more energy than you think that you should. Maybe you need less sleep. Maybe you need more food as well, more fuel, more there's there for all Scorpios, but especially the Uranus opposition Scorpios, there has to be really a lot of conscious thought on the health, because Uranus can make that a bit unpredictable. But then for the Scorpios, again, who are later in degree, so maybe born like November 10th and forward to like the 21st or 22nd, these Scorpios are more of the Capricorn energy Scorpios, not so affected yet by Uranus, and more so coming through on the Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto line of energy. So, and again, we've talked a lot about that already. That's basically the Saturnian ideal of like, big money, big time, big energy, big power, power dynamics, control dynamics. All those things do come up, and you want to just be able to face them with integrity, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the tarot cards here, and I'm going to find a card for Scorpio for the year of 2020. Okay, Three of Pentacles is already jumping out. I'm going to get one more, though, because I'm just curious. So just one concept, one significator, one power card for Scorpio to understand how to be more wholesome in 2020 and to move through. Okay, we have Seven of Cups. I think that that's an important thing to take into account this year for Scorpio because you want to parse things down. You kind of want to narrow things down a little bit. That's what Saturn energy really encourages us. And this is exactly why. Because when you're not being picky or when you're not discerning what you should do, this is where you find yourself, is in Seven of Cups. You find yourself with too many grand things on the horizon or too many things that you can't really choose between, which encourages stagnation and encourages, not really getting the progress you want anywhere. So that's what you are overcoming this year, Scorpio, because again, these last few years have encouraged Seven of Cups energy just through having so much activation. There's so many different directions you could go. And you've, I think, been working on this and working through this for a long time and working through this sense of darkness or sense of shadow that comes when you don't really know which way you want to go, when you don't really know which path is best. So there's discretion towards your path this year, really. And there are like riches, there are rewards, there are bright shiny things like on the horizon. They do exist, but you don't want it to be all about that. So I think that that's another important thing. The Capricorn energy for Scorpio, again, that sextile angle, maybe it makes things so material, it makes things so like, okay, you can make this money here, or you could get this house here, or you could get this person here. But what about what's within? What about the feeling of contentment within? What about the feeling of knowing yourself and knowing your identity and knowing your image wholesomely? Those could be equally as rewarding this year as any of those material things. So do bear that in mind as you progress here. Three of Pentacles also did jump out as well. And I think that, again, it's encouraging you to have help, okay, to accept help. Like if people are trying to reach out and help you, if people are offering to like cook you a meal, and I talked about this, I believe, in like Leo's reading as well. If people are, which is interesting because yeah, anyway, if people are reaching out to try and help you, or if people are like wanting to cook for you or wanting to help you get something together, assist you in any way, accept it. Really beware of rejecting help or rejecting any type of effort on behalf of other people, because yes, we are moving into a rat year in 2020 in around March, and that does encourage communal efforts, and it encourages helping one another and sharing capabilities and abilities. Sometimes we're not meant to be complete jack of all trades, and Scorpio's really had to become a jack of all trades, but again, Seven of Cups can kind of come up when that is the case. So, when you can do so many things, sometimes you can't get anything done because you don't know which one to do first, all of that kind of stuff. So really maybe choosing people who are best at everything and knowing where you're best, and pulling in help from people who are good at, cooking if you're not good at cooking, or people who are good at marketing if you're not good at marketing, if you're like a business owner or something, and getting the best of everything, parsing through, like if you were to have like a bowl full of grapes or something, really parsing through and finding the best grapes and taking them out, where they need to be, putting them where they need to be, being selective with the people in your life. And I don't mean that in a way that's like mean, but if people are rotten grapes in your life, maybe it's time to not allow them in and nourish your body, or disnourish your body, whatever. So that's key for you this year, Scorpio. And also like admiring things with other people, admiring the view with other people, Three of Pentacles, admiring efforts or admiring projects with other people, contemplating with others, getting other people's ideas about how things should move forward. This is really your gold mine in the year of 2020, is understanding what others want and understanding what others are good at. So it's not such a self-focused year when it comes to success, or when it comes to progression. And of course, everything is always self-focused. Without focusing on the self to some degree, I guess we'd like starve to death because we wouldn't eat. So I'm not saying that you need to not be self-focused, but you also have to think about other people in this year, and you have to think about, have I taken on too much? Have I put myself through something that is way too much for an individual person, and who can I look to assist me, or to, for those of you who have the budget, like hiring an assistant could be an incredible thing for this year. Or for those of you who this is not a career thing, like making new friends, okay? Making new network connections in the career. All of these types of things are very supported for you in 2020. But overall, Scorpio, I think that the year is awesome for you. I think that you have one of the more harmonious energies of all the signs in 2020, because the last 7 years for you have been very painstaking and auspicious, yes, but also pressurized. And there's still pressure in 2020, but it's a different kind. It's more peripheral, and it's more like there's not as much on the line for you in the same way that there was. So you can really just really have a lot more ease this year, and a lot more health, and a lot more discernment, healthy judgment, healthy knowledge for your own life. So think about that as you're moving through. Comment below on this video. Let me know how it resonated, or let me know how y'all are feeling as you're moving into 2020, because I really like to see that for, if I make more videos about 2020, I'll probably come back around late February and talk again about the astrological new year, because again, this is the calendar new year. So there's still a few months, January, February, and the beginning of March, before this energy truly comes in. But that's why I like to get them out during this time, is because there's more time to prepare. And if this reading resonated for you, I so hope that you'll hit the subscribe button on my channel if you haven't already. Make sure you have the bell button hit so you get notifications when these videos go up. And of course, you can check the description box, show more section beneath the video. If you would like to come over on Patreon, I just did a holiday balance tea chat over there where I talked about the energies in January and February a lot more concisely. So if you guys wanted to get that, you can jump over to my Patreon page. And yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. All of the information is below. If you wanted to book a private reading, slots just opened up for January. There are quite a few of them, because I know that the new year, people like really want readings. And I think that it's a good time, because everyone wants to know, like, what is the year ahead for me? So I have a lot of slots in January if you guys wanted to book a slot. That will be linked below as well. And thank you guys so much for being here. If you're watching this in the future in 2020, it's still totally accurate, for your sun, moon, rising sign, or any, mixture of Scorpio energies that you have. And I hope that you guys will come back and check in throughout the year. So thank you guys so much for being here. Tomorrow, Sagittarius's video will be going up at around 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, if you guys wanted to jump back as my notification squad. I'll be talking to you guys soon. Much love, Scorpios. I can't wait for the rest of the year on my channel with you guys. You're some of my favorites. And I'll talk to you later. Much love. Bye.